Where are you from? And so it begins. I open my mouth and the fruitlessness of trying to deny my otherness becomes apparent. I'm not from here, and neither are they, and yet still here we are. I know I'm but a visitor upon this land, a guest, the one invited. I have felt the warmth of welcome from the giggling kookaburras and the gentle unfolding of the southwest seasons. Memories of the cold winter air softening as the crackling fire brings a warmth to my bones. Here we have landed. Here my body rests. Throughout this unplanned and rather unexpected stay in the land down under, raising bairns who speak Aussie slang as though it was their mother tongue, I've continually sought connection through stitching, storytelling, weaving, and waiting. And yet the discomfort of living upon a land whose stories are not of my kin continues to echo, a gentle calling, increasing in volume as the years pass. And so here is where the inquiry begins. New to the language of the MIECAT way, I leaned upon familiar strategies from previous academic study. A mind map of ideas, thoughts, and noticings unfolded. I was able to give what was coming in a place to visit without privileging the noisiest voices. I heard them all and asked them to stay for as long as they wished. As each idea swam to the surface of my awareness, I began to see common themes appearing. A fractured lineage with the old stories, Gaelic language and Scottish traditions lost in the past. I felt responsibility to mend the broken. Ancestral work, spinning, weaving, working with my hands, held by their hands. Creating comfort within the unknown. A homemaker, making a home. The seeds of togetherness had already been sown here. I'm always present in the work. Though not always seen, I'm always within it. I've always come back to the art. I began my sense of being whilst being with the art. I have made sense of the world, my world, with the art. I've travelled, unravelled, held and healed with the art. It is a constant that asks no more of me than my presence. Ami Erson, Shaw and Gianov. I want to do this. But the why is still beneath the all too many layers of unknowing. I began to create themes within my art making. Land as laboratory, land as mother. A way to categorise, organise and empathise with what was being discovered. The place of belonging quickly became less and less relevant the more deeply I explored. The land was an easy place to start. It didn't ask anything of me. I didn't feel judged by the land. I didn't feel separated from the land. It was safe, just like the tree in the communal garden that allowed me to climb amongst its branches holding my weight, as I grew from comfort to agonising discomfort. And here it was that play entered the room. Returning to the land, held in presence. Noticing, collecting, tending, composting, caring. Within the landscape I could walk, I could think, I could breathe, and yet the steps from our home to the bothy up on the hill felt too vast for this early landing stage. A conversation with a fallen branch, which may or may not signal madness. When questioned, "Can I take you up to the studio?" you so fervently replied, "No," preferring to stay close to your mother. For me, an exercise in trust, where respect overrides the aesthetic, and the listening continued on our daily walks, noticing, gathering, collecting, smiling. And then along came a pause, daily noticing. A ritual of sorts, though held only by one, severely lacking Durkheim's collective effervescence, and ultimately an activity rather than an unfolding. But there's a gentleness, a gentleness in noticing, a gentleness in being with. Return to the land. The search for the elusive home had already been embarked upon, and so it was time to once again look backwards, to move forwards. Was it any wonder that I found it, whilst you were here too? A yearly visit from my parents, travelling through time zones, shortening the perception of distance between our worlds. A wondering appears, am I spinning with my own hands, or does the carded fleece hold the memory of yours? Does she walk with a memory of self, or the stories of Euphemia Swan of the McEnroys, the red-headed ones? Led by the art, the noticing, the curiosity, the discovers, the trials, the experiments. Wellies on and wading happily amongst the sea of philosophers, methodologies, and the elusive literature review. The bookshelves may be holding as many questions as they are answers. Phenomenology had once again established itself front and centre, along with the return of a previous academic discovery, where I developed the mindfulness-based phenomenological study. This method uses mindfulness as a precursor to conducting a phenomenological study. Could this be applied to a felt sense of home? Weaving words, wisdom, wondering, the discovery of the research question still remained a little out of reach. Knowing when to land and when to fly, such a gift of intuition. And so let us face squarely into the eyes of unbelonging, with an appreciation for the nostalgic longing for something that actually never was. Decades of travelling, arriving, setting up new homes in lands far and wide, I've become quite the expert in decanting our possessions into such a repeatable order that I almost have to remind myself of my location as my eyes open to the morning light. Hand woven with my hands, held by hers, hand spun with my hands, held by hers, hand dyed with your gifts, held by you. When I am empty, the air still flows. When I am empty, the land still remains, listening, noticing. Enough. Where'd you come fae? Where'd you bide? Where do you come from? Where do you live? And then it arrives. Koasa how? Who do you come from? Who? Not where. Who? Swirling thoughts arising. The earth, the land, the bothy, the home. Being in presence. Clarity awaits upon a distant hillside. I gather my tools. My mind is held here within the presence of every stitch. A sharply pointed needle ushers me into the space of meaning-making. Wisdom arrives as the Kaliak appears. She is the divine hag, the queen of winter, an ancient Gallic creation story where rocks and boulders form the mountains of my homeland. The Kaliak calls, just as the grandmother's words echo in our gathering. You are not alone. Her long-held wisdom offers solid ground. Boulders thrown, mountains rise. I'm on solid ground here as a new collection unfolds. I smile to the rocks as we pass them by. The Kaliak whispers. Strength builds clarity through winter's naked branches. Walking with the Kaliak, I listen. And so for now, within this comfortable role as the Brickaloo's researcher, I will leave nothing behind for the detritus of today may well be the treasure of tomorrow. What began as a seemingly simple quest to connect to the land through art has become a much richer, larger, deeper quest for a connection to new ways of being through old ways of knowing. Old ways of storytelling, language, and ancient making practices. The making of home.